Mrs. Reed back to share another read aloud story with you. Today I'm reading another short story. It's called The Sea of Tranquility, written by Mark Haddon and illustrated by Christian Bergenkamp. This is our main character, and this is his buddy, his rabbit. This is a story about space and the universe and wondering what's out there. So as usual, sit back, relax, find your comfy place, and get ready to be a listener. The Sea of Tranquility. Years ago, there was a little boy who had the solar system on his wall. Noticing the other things that's in his room. What he's holding, his buddy, his rabbit. Late at night, he'd lie in bed with Rabbit, and they would watch the planets spinning around the sun. Mars, the tiny space tomato, because it's red. Saturn, sitting in its frisbee rings. Freezing Pluto, turning slowly in the dark. Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Venus, Mercury, and Earth. But of all the weird worlds that whirled around his bedroom, his favorite was the moon. A small and bald and ordinary globe of rock that looped the loop its way through outer space. He leaned across the windowsill at night, and he watched the moon slide up into the sky above the biscuit factory, which is a factory across from where he lives. He borrowed Dad's binoculars, and he gazed for hours at the empty deserts and the Rocky Mountains. It made him dizzy just to think that he was looking at another world. 200,000 miles away. That's how far the moon is. He got an atlas of the moon for Christmas, and he read it like a storybook. I have something similar to an atlas, and it's more of an encyclopedia. But this is a kind of book, it's a reference book. You'll find in any library, and you probably have in your house. It's kind of like Google, but in the form of a book. And if you flip to a certain section, you'll find information. Oh my gosh, look at that you can read about the moon. Did you know? Don't forget to look for books for information. He dreamed of going there, of rocketing across the cold black miles and landing on those crumbly rocks. He dreamed of visiting the craters in the Atlas. Prosper Henry, Klaproth, Zach. He dreamed of driving in a fat-tired moon mobile across the Bay of Rainbows and the Sea of Rains. Those are all locations that are actually labeled on the moon. And if you look it up, you'll find out more. He planted his own flag in his yard just like he was landing on the moon. I love that he's researching more information. He kept a scrapbook called The Journey to the Moon. And inside were photographs of rockets taking off from Cape Canaveral, and astronauts in pumped up suits and fishbowl helmets, meaning really big, and floating in zero gravity around their little metal rooms. That sounds pretty exciting. hard he's working. He's researching, he's documenting. This is what he's doing, documenting. He's looking things up, he's taking notes, he's cutting out pictures and saving information. That shows me that he's very interested. He borrowed library books and read how astronauts had orbited the Earth and walked in space and how they'd flown around the moon itself. And every night he hoped that one day they would find a way to land and walk across that tiny world where he had dreamed of walking. And eventually, one cloudless night, they did. Look how excited he is. Oh my gosh, people are actually going to go to the moon. I'm excited for him. Midnight had come and gone, but the boy was wide awake and standing at the window in his dressing gown because 2 astronauts were walking on the surface of the moon. 200,000 miles away above his bedroom. He looks captivated. Captivated means totally interested. Wow. And this what was happening on the moon while he was staring out his window looking at the moon. How exciting is that? At 3 a.m. in the morning, meaning the middle of the night, he went downstairs and he turned the television on. And there they were on the flickery screen, bouncing slowly across the dust of the Sea of Tranquility. Like green giants in slow motion. So they're going. He looks captivated. That's an image of the surface of the moon. He stayed awake all night, and he went to bed at dawn. The sun was coming up outside his window, and the moon was fading fast. He fell asleep, and in his dreams, he walked with them. Snuggling his rabbit, dreaming about walking on the moon. This looks like it must be perhaps his dream. Can you imagine yourself right now being an astronaut? That little boy was me. The solar system wall chart fell into pieces long ago, and Rabbit, who is older now, no longer follows me around, but he sits beside my desk and watches while I work. Yet still, on cloudless nights, I sometimes sit beside my bedroom window, staring at that tiny, distant world. And I think how cold and dark it is up there. No wind, no clouds, no streams, no sky, just rocks and dust. And I think how nothing ever moves year after year. And then I think of those two astronauts and how the prints that they made with their big boots will still be there tonight. Because remember, nothing ever moves on the moon. There's no wind, there's no streams. Tomorrow night and every night, and for millions of years to come, those footprints will still be there. And that, my friends, is the end of our book. Thanks for tuning in. Aspire to your dreams and think about and imagine the other worlds that are out there. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.